Hey, here we are, week 4 of the January Pantry Challenge. Come on in and see how we're using up our pantry products this week. My take on the January Pantry Challenge is to reduce the amount you're spending on groceries and to use up the products out of your pantry. We store this stuff here, we might as well be using it. It's not just to sit there and look pretty. We need to eat the products before they're wasted. Come on in and see the products I've got to use up this week. I've gone through my pantry and I found things that need to be used. I've still got those chicken leg quarters I haven't touched, and they've been on my menu for 3 weeks, and I just need to do it before they're totally wasted. I've got pancake mix still that needs to be used up. I have been using it, but it needs to go. I need to keep on that. I have frozen mangoes that are getting ice crystals. A quick rinse knocks those crystals off, but I need to use it. I bought some romaine lettuce that's got to be used before it spoils. We have some stewing beef that needs to be used up, and steak before I buy more beef. We've got some potatoes that are going soft, quinoa that's just been sitting for too long and needs to be used. The canned beans, I'm still trying to work through some of those. And the borscht that tastes like turnip, we need to work through that. I can fix that by putting a can of tomatoes and some fresh potatoes in that, and it usually fixes it up quite nicely. So in order to use up the stewing beef, I'm going to make some vegetable beef barley soup. I'll make some chicken leg quarters. I was going to use squash, but the squash has gone beyond, so I have to come up with something else. I do have some frozen squash. In order to use up the mango, I'm going to make some mango blueberry grunt. Blueberry grunt is an East Coast dessert that's basically a fruit slurry with dumplings on top. So I'll be making that up. With the steak, I'll have a nice salad. And then to use up some of those canned beans, I'm going to make a mixed bean salad. This salad is nice because you can eat it cold, and then in a day or two when you're tired of eating bean salad, you can heat it up, or you can mix it in with rice to make a Tex-Mex rice, and that's probably what we'll end up with as another meal later in the week. Tex-Mex and beans. So there we go. That's our menu plan for the week-ish. We have some frozen pizza, and we do have some other things that we need to work through, so we'll see how that goes. You know, sometimes you just have a day where you have to get stuff done. I had one of those at the end of week 3 of the Pantry Challenge. We had eggs that needed to be used up, we had run out of bread, and my kombucha needed to be bottled. Well, I snapped some pictures, but I didn't snap video. So here, have a look. I have kombucha and bread rising for its first rise. I have the bread rising for its second rise, and the eggs were on to boil at that time. And then I have my finished bread and buns and my pickled eggs. Fern loves pickled eggs. So making any excess of eggs into pickled eggs never goes wrong. I've had my beans soaking. I boiled them for 5 minutes. I let them sit for an hour and I boiled them for 30 more minutes. Now I'm ready to bottle these up and put them in the pressure canner for 75 minutes. I've never done this before. Apparently it's very messy. We love black beans in our house, and I'm just learning from other people's videos. You fill them to the shoulders apparently, and then you top it up with freshly boiled water. I've got to put my kettle on. There we go. Oh, let's put that on boil. So now I've got the water on to boil. I've got the beans going in the jars. You could use the water out of the canner, but I don't want to add the extra gas factor. I've been taking that into consideration through my whole process. So I'll be back with you when these are done. And there we go. We have to wait for the canner to start steaming for 10 minutes. Then I'll put the weight on it and I'll wait for the gauge to come up. I'm below 1,000 feet elevation, so I only need a 10-pound pressure, or 11 pounds on the dial gauge, and I'll show you when I pull them out. I've let my pressure canner cool down naturally, depressurize, and start to cool off. And there we go. I've got canned black beans to put in my pantry. Oh, and that classic pop that canners love to hear. The water in the canner is nice and clear, so that suggests I had no siphoning, and that makes for a happy canner. Here we are. It's Wednesday night. We've been working on this this week's menu for a little while. Last night we had a guest who was here for dinner, and we ended up with pork chops and broccoli and potatoes, so it was no big deal. It was just a quick, easy dinner. And now we have leftover pork chops, and Dan is working on dinner for us again. It's so great to have a husband who likes to cook. So he's got quinoa and rice on with dehydrated peppers and onions, and then he's going to do something with the pork chops and an extra vegetable, and that's it for tonight's dinner. This week's menu plan didn't turn out as we intended. We had an overnight guest, that changed our menu plan, and a trip to Montreal, there and back, which is a 3-hour drive, and that's changed our menu plan, and we didn't feel like cooking one night, so we had, frozen pizza. We're still new at this, we're getting it. But I'll do a recap of how I think the month turned out on my next video. So give us a thumbs up and stick around and subscribe so that you can see what that next video is. And I'll talk to you soon.